Now, it saddens my heart whenever I talk about MFEGUE. Me ankasa mete ha yi, eye tai ye mawreho, ebere bi a nkomodidi beba a yebebo George MFEGUE di. Because he's lost it. Wayera as a player. And massive disadvantage to Asante Koroko. Because he's a player, Kotoko, high level of investment when move. But clearly, Anyoma got bad for George MFEGUE. Let's spend some minutes and talk about MFEGUE. MFEGUE was a player. You see, I was just going through my archives. Now, Obano subscribed to the channel. Now, MFEGUE hit the ground running earlier than Frank Bella Ituga. These are two Cameroonians joining Asante Koroko. And Utien Komonemu year, the main target was MFEGUE. Ituga was give him a try and see what will happen. But the main player, Anna Omofano, to lead the attack of Kotoko was MFEGUE. Not even Ituga. It's Obi Okai Biano during their first season under Ogun. Okai Ogun first match with Frank Stephen Amankona, Joseph Amuakon, Samuel Boateng. MFEGUE started free bench by in some matches earlier than Ituga. Ituga was not even playing. No Mobi. If you remember, MFEGUE started first match before Ituga. MFEGUE's first game was against Kimfesa. That was a match, I'll say 2 goals for Asante Koroko. Lose by 3 goals to 2. But the day 2 goals was scored from MFEGUE. And season in say about Frank Bella Ituga Abasodia. But near who say player complementary. I'm at the modern most any pay was a branch of George MFEGUE. So there were articles stating that in the absence of MFEGUE, Ituga struggles. Not because of communication, but clearly not his work rate on the field. How he fights for the ball and how unselfish he was massive when it comes to build up play. His work rate, his build up, how he link up was exceptional. Ituga there. Now, I say you're born about or a penalty box specialist. He was the finisher, but the creator and the worker was MFEGUE. So it was like I saw articles back then, and I'm for say the other Cameroonian who is not getting enough praises for his effort. That was the story. Articles and I'm for trouble by MFEGUE, trying to draw people attention to the fact that so we the few are a Ituga never. He scored 8 goals, and there was another belief we say so we say MFEGUE. Bibia there say so Kotoko team no yedini kojina number 9 he may also be scoring at that same rate like Frank Mbella. So we say MFEGUE. That's all no say yedini common 9 obetimi a goals to send Mbella. So when Mbella ekono, there were other staff for that. Listen, let's just push MFEGUE to the number 9 position. And on his first season, he scored 8 goals for Asante Koroko. Now the following season, after first season, Kotoko Aji League. He had another player to complement him in the shape of Steve Mukwala. Mukwala instantly will be a penalty because this was a player you could see his movement, his runs. He was having issues with finishing. Kai Mukwala started a panel. Now go share Mukwala then. So the idea was, listen, if Kotoko can build a front two of MFEGUE and Mukwala, Ebefe, and not forget that time is a couple free injury about Kotoko Kadiogo, no Akosego. There was a front three and ya projected in Mukwala, MFEGUE, Isaac Kopo. And Komube grow, Ababe Jine anymore. ama nneɛma akɔ yi ama Asante Kotoko ama ani gye aba. But unfortunately for Mfege, the previous season is not an issue of standard. When Timia level up to 50% of it, because if Nicholas Mensah form now no woman last season, you know, and then the suspension and come start here benching Mfege. Because Mensah has scored 3 goals and he played 6 games or less. And a suspension at all. Then came the job, said, I've been seeing Mfege now. Ojana Park so a ultimate ntwe. Ball control, why anything? Passing, why anything? Defensive contribution, near enemy, why anything? Work rate, why anything? But there was a belief, said there was a coach out bringing the best in him the first season. Inti coach in the bar, so at the time of coach wrote to film said, or Afi Oguno, I think say Oguno Bano. So the player baako pa na yɛ players that will benefit from the return of Oguma. You be adi say be Mfege because on the man Mfege you never pay an answer. But I'll tell you here that the issue of Mfege is not coaching. When an individual that is playing good football at this level drops to this level, you don't blame a coach. It is based on one kasa wunipa. Because the issue of talent and sonte, the issue of quality nyirae, nti eye den na one kasa na wo ye the first I say wuntimi nye bi ma wuntimi perform because during the time you started season and Mfege born, the position was not changed. His position was not changed at any point. So I will sit here and say it that Mfege is an asset based on the first season, but in the following 2 seasons, that was last year and this season, he's looking more like a liability. He's no longer an asset, he's a liability. And who your company now manage you now discover a liability, you cut it off. You cut the liability off because liability a cut. Now, so what's your salary in Mfege Beje as a foreigner? Now what's your ball now or bona or the KOTOKO team no move pro on fashion count because this season he's without a goal. So in the last 2 seasons, Mfege has 3 goals. And this season, the number of minutes in Mfege is 556, which is less than 600 minutes for KOTOKO. So a big player, a foreigner, receiving high sums of money and not contributing anything on the field. And as a captain, nothing about him that or more leadership role from the bench. Trying to extend his contract, therefore, I would support any agenda to let go Mfege because he has lost it. And any coaching, and you know as a person, and the commitment, the dedication, and passion on the Bobo Naira against Insuatremai. He came on and no, he was looking like a Division 3 player. Not being harsh on him, but born now or born. Under no circumstance now, born now born a church will you be this trade. And therefore, in figure out, I support it. Now the next conversation will be DANLAD. And this is where my opinion will change kaka. DANLAD made that 3 matches recently. KOTOKO became Insuatremai and Dreams. And me who say KOTOKO should extend the contract of DANLAD. Listen, now I'm telling you. KOTOKO for DANLAD from a Division 2 team in Tsunami. I was checking the age of DANLAD. He's 22 years. DANLAD was 22 years as a goalkeeper. Meaning he can still play for KOTOKO even in the next 10 years as a player. Goalkeepers, traditionally, are mature when they are growing old. Until the goalkeeper be not young. Now the young stage, or more matured performance when you're an asset, you have a good at your disposal. Now let's look at DANLAD. DANLAD is a KOTOKO product. A KOTOKO product wabo under 17, wabo under 20, wabo under 23, wabo the local blasters, and wabo blasters proper. One of a product that KOTOKO media use as an example when you are talking about development. Our club nankasa here in recent times is nobody but DANLAD. And that makes him an asset of the club. And at age 22, the resale value of DANLAD is still high. Therefore, this is a player I will go through the generations. Let's go through the goalkeepers at DANLAD. DANLAD and Isaac Kamwakwa Juma Okotoko. And the Soa Ordinary Juma Okotoko. Felix Anan Muntari Tego. Michael Abu Sir Kwame. Okay. Rasaka Belora. One Kwame Ba. One Frederick Kasare, Moise Poitier. About 10 goalkeepers. And a DANLAD Guru Okotoko on your dear Frafra. He's been in the Ghana Premier League for the last 6 years as a player. Wadakin face alone. Wakoda Brekum Chelsea alone. And Wabeje Kotoko position about and now he's the captain. At age 22. So Osha Bra Kotoko Abro DANLAD. Any baby your father DANLAD free. Not all of a sudden Kotoko decided said Debbie, you will not extend his contract uncle as a free agent. That is not a liability. DANLAD at the moment is not a liability. He's still an asset that the club must manage to benefit out of him. You said the American cannot here. Goalkeepers there, and even naturally player below 25 years so the money more sorry now will turn a scantem. So yes, DANLAD is part of the players of contract this particular season now, but he is still an asset because our resale value and experience the profile now are building. So DANLAD in one good season. That's a whole club, no cast a whole corner. You stand a chance of making much money out of him because he has a rich national team profile. And we know players and answer players when you are selling them to outside. They look at your profile, your national team profile, what that World Cup, African Cup, the list goes on and on. DANLAD. So Sika Ebia Kotoko, remember we use Poite or also contract be uno. So Kotoko decided so the says can DANLAD that they can keep him. So among the players that can leave Kotoko season area, DANLAD is one that Kotoko must keep. Unlike in Fiji, Kotoko must keep down. But show my reasons. He's a Kotoko product or resale value. He has the Kotoko tradition in him, and he's a young goalkeeper. They say goalkeeper 22 years, or meet me a Dama in the next 10 years. You keep him. It's between Poite and a DANLAD. We should keep DANLAD to still compete with Asare. Again, so DANLAD Akofria, you are going to buy a goalkeeper. The question again is that DANLAD is settled in the KOTOKO system. He might have issues with his recent performance. The recent performance is do the standard that DANLAD the chairman, but he's still a good goalkeeper. Good goalkeeper, Ben Abet Miaka Kofano. All DANLAD experience nibi, all DANLAD resale value nibi, or the KOTOKO traditions nasia. How to even relate to the fan base or what other. So you are going to start a new project if you let go DANLAD.